today I want to talk about the benefits of properly activating your pelvic floor and proper pelvic floor function. So many of you know me as a deep core exercise specialist. You know I love talking about pelvic floor function, how to properly activate your pelvic floor, how to improve your deep core function, and so many other topics of conversation around that. But today I want to talk about what some of these things that we don't talk about enough in women's health. And so these 4 things that I'm going to share with you is really why I always say sometimes pelvic floor found me, right? Because I started out doing a lot more of Pilates and working on lengthening the body and strengthening the body and rebalancing the body and helping women and men get rid of aches and pains. And the farther I got into my journey, the more I really started to recognize oh, not only deep core function as a whole, but the base of our deep core function is our pelvic floor and our pelvic floor function, right? And in order to have optimal pelvic floor function, optimal deep core and core function, we have to understand the role our pelvic floor plays, okay? So one of the big reasons for understanding all of this is that it can really help you to prevent and also get rid of aches and pains in the body. And back pain is such a common thing today, right? We spend too much time sitting down. We spend time in our day on our phones, right? We're not really always thinking about, what is our deep core function? What does our pelvic floor function look like to help us improve our posture? But it's really, really, really important. So my big overall thing with everything, and specifically when we talk about aches and pains in the body, whether it's back pain or pelvic pain, hip pain, neck pain, knee pain, even shoulder pain, right, is that everything is so interconnected in the body, and we can't just address one of those pieces without ultimately addressing deep core function, which also means we have to really make sure that we have a properly activated pelvic floor. The second thing that I want to mention, and I know we do not talk about this enough at all in society and women's health, is sexual health and sexual function, right? And this is a big one that comes up. It comes up a lot in my core rehab program because I'll have women who either have pain with sex, or it just doesn't feel good for them, or they've got some stuff going on, right? And so many times we neglect to really understand that, wow, there's so much more possible for you when it comes to the sexual function, sexual pleasure of your life. And so that's a really big key reason why it's important to understand our pelvic floor function, to work on our pelvic floor, right? Okay, number 3 is, and this is something that shocks a lot of women when I say this, and the reason that I say it is because most women have no idea this is even possible until it happens to them, okay? And then they're like, why didn't I know about this? Okay, so number 3, which is very shocking to a lot of women, is that yes, our organs can fall out of our vagina. And it doesn't just affect women who have had babies. It's a big conversation that a lot of women think, well, if I haven't ever had babies, or if I didn't deliver them vaginally, they think that it can't affect pelvic floor dysfunction, or it doesn't affect them. But it can. It doesn't just come from pregnancy and labor. Okay, it really comes down to we've got to really become more connected with our body and understanding that if we are experiencing some incontinence, and this is something why you ladies, if you followed me for a while, know that I love to talk about the whole peeing your pants is not normal / peeing your pants should not be a normal thing, because it's a sign that your body is trying to tell you hey, it's time to start looking internally and seeing what's going on with our pelvic floor. Ladies, I know that's not a good picture, but it happens and it is preventable. And believe it or not, it can happen a lot younger. Many times women aren't correlating this until they're in their, well, it'll be at least my 60s or beyond. But who wants to even deal with that when you're 60, 70, 80, or 90 if you don't have to? Number 4 is that it's really important to have proper pelvic floor, activation and function if you want to have optimal core strength and core function and have a flatter belly, right? Because so many times we're taught to do lots and lots of crunches, but those crunches, ladies, that you've been doing a lot of all these years are putting pressure down on your pelvic floor. They're actually doing the opposite of creating better pelvic floor function. They could be actually weakening the abdominal wall, because when we want to really think about good, deep core and abdominal function, we have to address pelvic floor underneath, up through the front of our belly, up along our spine, and all the way up, which is why I'm always teaching, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Start to feel what's going on with your pelvic floor. Start to feel what's going on from the pubic bone upward, that lower belly. So I'm not saying like, oh, we can't ever do a crunch type movement. It comes down to, again, learning how to do these things in a very effective manner so that you can learn how to move your body and in a way that is really creating even more and more strength, even more and more connection as we age. So there you have it, ladies. I also do have a free pelvic floor guide teaching you how to get better proper activation on my website, ericazeal.com/pelvic floor. And of course, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out.